We're going to look at electricity today, but more specifically, how much electricity we use. And even more specifically, how do we figure out how much a particular device requires? How many kilowatt hours does that device use? So in order to do this, we first want to look at this overall question of how much electricity is something using. We need a few pieces of information before we can go any further, and what we need is first a power requirement. How much power does that device require? We'll look at where we can find that information and figure that out. Then we'll need to know how long we're going to be using the device. How much time are we going to be using it? With those two pieces of information, we can figure out the total energy that a device uses in units that we call joules. Now we want to take the joules and be able to convert them to what we call kilowatt hours, which is what we commonly see on your electrical bill. So it's what means the most to us. It's the way that we can figure out basically how much something costs to run. So we're going to look at those things in order and use them to calculate how much energy a particular device uses. Our first requirement was to find out how much power was required. In most cases, we can find this on the device itself. On the back, we'll find a label that is similar to one that we see here. This is for a 32-inch LCD TV and DVD combination, and we can see a lot of information here. But what we're looking for is the watts. This is the power. Watts is a unit of power, and we want to find the place on the label that tells us the watts. We can find this right here on this label, highlighted by the red arrow, and we can see that it uses 180 watts. That's our first piece of information that we will need. Our next step is how much time is required. This one's pretty simple. How often or how much are you going to be using this device? And this will depend on how long we want to look at. Are you looking at using it for a half-hour period, for a day, for a year? So again, you just need to decide how long are you going to be using the device. How long do you want to test your consumption for? Our next step is easy. We just multiply our required power that we found from the label by our time that we're using our device in seconds. After we've done this quick calculation, we have our energy in joules. We now need to convert from joules to kilowatt hours, and we can do that by simply dividing by 3,600,000, and that will give us our number of kilowatt hours. Or we can visit the website shown at the bottom, where we can use an online converter to give us those kilowatt hours.